The fourth final between Meath and Cork, and it's been all one-way traffic for Meath in the previous three, winning in 1967, 87 and the 88 replay. They have coincidentally 5 All-Ireland titles each. Cork winning in 1890, when by the way the county recorded the hurling football double, 1911, 45, 73 and last year. Meath's successes were in 1949, 54, 67, 87 and 88. Cork this year have already won the senior hurling and junior football titles and are still in the minor hurling replay. Meath are going for the senior minor double, and that's only been achieved by 2 other counties, Kerry and Dublin. There'll be extended analysis, news and views from both Cork and Meath in Sports Stadium on Network 2 tomorrow afternoon. And there's a football final preview tomorrow night on RTE1. But how about a neutral look at the final? Our Gaelic Games correspondent Mick Dunn talked to Tommy Carr, the Dublin captain, and asked him to look ahead to the big game.
I think on Sunday the final between Cork and Meath should be very interesting. I don't think the 2 semi-finals or the way the teams played in the semi-finals will have any bearing on the way the game will go on Sunday. People might like to say that you know, Cork were nearly caught by Roscommon, Meath were nearly caught by Donegal, which they were too. And I think you will see a very tight, oft-times physical game on Sunday. And I could see no more than last 15 minutes, I think, will tell all. It's the team that is able to hold the concentration will win out in the end.
But they both have loads of football ability and skills.
Absolutely. One thing that we must point and see that Meath have so many quality players. They've so many guys who can take scores, run forward, tackle, get back. They have opportunists in abundance. We turn and we look at Cork and we see they're really a purist football team. And I think that's what they depend on mostly for winning games, is their pure football ability.
Do you think is the hurling victory going to be a boost to Cork, or will it mean that it's an extra burden that everybody's expecting them to complete the double?
The fact that the hurlers have won an All-Ireland against the odds. They've come out of nowhere at the beginning of the year. They went underdogs into the championship in general. Now, you know, we turn and we look at the footballers and see that they have a job to do. Again, they're in adverse circumstances, but we know the Cork spirit. We've seen the Cork spirit last Sunday week, and they can come out all guns blazing, and the fact that the hurlers have won will be on their minds, and I think it's an added boost. To say, you know, that the hurlers have won and they've put extra pressure on the footballers, there may be that little bit in it too, certainly. But they also know that the footballers haven't had the same luck against Meath as Cork hurlers have against any other teams in the country.
Why were they so unhappy for so long against Roscommon when they have so many great players and when they're so used now in the last 4 or 5 years to Croke Park?
Cork didn't perform all that well against Roscommon. They know that themselves. But it's important to remember that going into a semi-final, a team that is the favourite may find it that little bit more difficult to psych themselves up or to get themselves mentally prepared. A semi-final, an All-Ireland semi-final for a team like Cork, who's been in quite a few over the past number of years, is a type of halfway house. It hasn't the fervour or the intensity of a provincial final. It hasn't got the occasion of an All-Ireland final. And for this reason, I think that little bit of bite and Cork might have been lacking in the semi-final.
Some people believe that Cork have too many good players, that there's too wide a selection.
Yeah, Cork have such a very wide selection to play from. I mean, players that we think should be on the team are not on the team. They can pull substitutes out on the day. I mean, we can turn to the semi-final and look at Michael McCarthy's performance. I mean, one would ask, you know, why wasn't he on from the beginning? But that's the judgment of a coach, of management. They've been there long enough, they've won long enough. They have faith in certain guys. The good thing about having so much talent is that if one guy isn't producing it, and people do have an off day, that we can put in somebody instead, and the team should be able to maintain the balance.
Go down through some of Cork's strong points and name the players you think are the key players.
I think some of the key players this year for Cork, they show themselves in the semi-final. Niall Cahalan, Stephen O'Brien. These guys did a very good job. I mean, at one stage, Stephen O'Brien came up and he got a score. And we don't see a whole lot of cornerbacks doing that. Now, for a young fella, he has the confidence, he has the ability, he's willing to do it. and he had a tough job on Tony McManus, and I think he stuck to his task well. The half-back line for Cork, they may be that little bit loose, but they are very fast. They're willing to attack, willing to take a ball on. And the midfield for Cork, I feel, has come under a certain amount of pressure this year. The fact that they had to bring Shea Fahy out at full forward, where he was playing quite well as a full forward, means that they haven't got a settled midfield. Larry Tompkins hasn't found the form from the Munster final, the form he produced in the Munster final. I think we move up into the half-forward line, unsettled again, a little bit unsettled. They run a lot. Dave Barry is a player who likes to get the ball, likes to settle on the ball and likes to distribute. He likes to dictate the pace in the forward line. I think some of the forwards which have to get special mention from the semi-final, and that's, you know, you're only as good as your last game, so that's the way we can only pick him. Paul McGrath, I had to say he had an outstanding game, and Michael McCarthy, as I've already mentioned.
Unlike other Cork teams in past decades, this one can take great long-range points.
Sure. I think we have seen that, and one of the guys that was taken off, Barry Coffey, is one of these people who can take long-range points. Larry Tompkins took 2 long-range points in the first 15 minutes, which were vital to Cork. And I think it's typical of something we've seen of Cork over the last 2 or 3 years. They survive maybe on 35–40% of the possession, but they're so economical. They make such a little fuss about scoring, and you can see them stringing points over from 35, 40, 45 yards.
So do Cork have a weakness?
Looking at them over the past few years, their only weakness has been Meath, insofar as the way that Meath have challenged them, the way that they have dominated Cork to a large degree. If Cork can overcome this, I feel that they may be able to turn the tables.
Now, Cork are the champions, but I think in everybody's mind, Meath will be favourites.
Meath certainly are going into favourites in this game on Sunday, and looking at it, it's only fair to say that. They had a tough game against Dublin. They came out on tops. They held on to win. They had a very tough game against Donegal. They've been through it all this year. They know what it's like at the competitive level, at the very high competitive level. They know what it's like to accept pressure, to take pressure, and to come out on top.
Meath have got a great full-back line with Mick Lyons playing some of his best football now.
One aspect of his game which has improved considerably is his distribution out of defence. A number of years ago, we were used to Mick Lyons soaring into the air, getting the ball and kicking it 50–60 yards. The semi-final and the Leinster final, you could see him looking up, taking a solo with the ball and distributing it. And from this point of view, it's going to have a settling effect on the Meath full-back line.
So it wouldn't do for the Cork forwards to be lobbing in big high balls to him?
No, and the Cork forwards lobbing in big high balls isn't their fashion, and I don't think they will be going for that. They can't afford to give away possession. They can't afford to play 50–50 balls.
And they've got a super full forward line, especially the way Brian Stafford is moving out further than we ever saw him doing before.
One of the real strong lines of the Meath team is the full forward line. Brian Stafford, he's free taken a little bit doubtful in the semi-final. I can't see it being a problem in the final. His general play outfield has changed somewhat. We're used to looking at him at the edge of the square. This year we've seen him roam down the field. I think the idea is to leave so much space inside for Bernard Flynn and Colm O'Rourke. Bernard Flynn is one of the most dangerous players in the game. He turns half an opportunity into a goal chance. And, you know, looking at Bernard Flynn, he takes the right scores at the right time. There was once there in the semi-final when it was a draw. He could have gone for a goal, but he took the point just to stay that bit ahead.
And it's not only those three, but PJ Gillick as well got some marvellous points in the semi-final.
The Meath half-forward line have shown great backup. They have taken great scores. You take Beggy, Gillick, and to a lesser extent Dowd possibly. Gillick took 2 or 3 great points in the first 15 minutes against Donegal. Given room, he will do that damage. David Beggy, when he gets the ball, he has one thing on mind, and that's goal, and he'll run and he'll run, and more often than not he will be dragged down. And this is one of the aspects of his game which is very worrying for any defence.
Do they have a weakness?
Meath, I think, have developed a weakness in the last year or two, which they previously hadn't had. And it may not be the case on Sunday, but if we look at the semi-final and the Leinster final, they let a team dominate them for such a long time. Dublin dominated them for 30 minutes of the second half. Donegal, I feel, dominated them for most of the first half and long periods in the second half until Brian Stafford got the goal. Now, they can't allow Cork to do this because Cork will avail of every opportunity that Meath's give them on Sunday.
So which of them do you think will win?
I suppose I would have to say that Meath should come out on top, given the past number of games between these two teams. However, I would say that Cork just may take the initiative, just may get tired of being the underdog and may make up their mind, as the hurlers did, to go out and to win against the odds.
As we said earlier, Cork haven't beaten Meath in an All-Ireland final, but it was very close the last time they met. In fact, 12 minutes into the second half of the 1988 replay, scores were level for the 6th time.
Martin O'Connell towards Bernard Flynn, getting there just ahead of Tony Nation. That's a neat pick-up. The switch of Flynn might well work. That's over the bar. Give away to Brian Stafford, so alert. Towards David Beggy, they're playing with confidence now, looking to extend their lead. And they've stretched it to a 2-point advantage thanks to Beggy. And his nerve holds well. Meanwhile, it's Brian Stafford, side ahead by a point. Hits the post, it comes down to Joe Castles. He was alert. He's driven it over the bar. So it'll be Brian Stafford taking as much time as the referee will permit to chip this one over the bar. That's very much his trademark. Martin O'Connell to take the sideline ball for Meath. Towards David Beggy, breaks for Colm O'Rourke. Beggy moves out of his way and O'Rourke chips it over for his 3rd point. Liam Hayes can't hold it. Dennis Allen swiftly over the bar. Just 2 between them, and he scored 8 points. What a strange game this has been in so many ways. Cork with so much possession, but Meath with so much class and so much organisation. Barry Coffey, they come looking for another score. They'll have to be content with a point. Barry Coffey's first point of the match, and there's the bare minimum between them. Now, is there enough time for Cork to swing over another point? The referee is calling for the ball and it's all over.
So a great contest in prospect between Meath and Cork. Indeed, Meath followers hope to get the weekend off to a good start tomorrow night in the Croke Park Handball Complex, where the county is